All right, today we'll be working with polynomials. We'll look at the greatest common monomial factor and the common binomial factor. So let's think of the relationship between distributing and factoring. Normally, we've been given the two factors, 3 times x plus 2, distribute them to get the binomial. Now we'll be given the binomial and we will find the greatest common factor. So 3 can be divided into both terms, so we just factor out the 3. And our factors are 3 times x plus 2. So the greatest common monomial factor. So before we begin, let's do some practicing with the variables. We have x to the third plus x to the sixth plus x. What is the greatest common factor for these variables? Well, they're all x. And the greatest common factor is going to be the one with the smallest exponent. So in this case, x to the 1. Because I can divide x into each of the terms and it's even. So x to the third divided by x is x squared plus x to the fifth plus 1. This example, I have x to the sixth, x to the third, and x squared. The greatest common monomial, the greatest common factor is going to be x squared, the one with the smallest exponent. That's going to leave me x to the fourth plus x plus 1. In our final example, we have x to the third, y squared, x to the fifth, y, plus xy. So let's look at our x's. We have x to the third, x to the fifth, and x. So we can factor out the x, and y squared, y, and y to the fifth. So we can add a y. So each of these, we can say x and y, x and y. So in our first term, that would leave us x squared y. Our second term, x to the fifth. And our third term, y to the fourth. So that's how we find the greatest common factor for variables. So go ahead and simplify each expression by dividing it by the denominator, each term. So 9x divided by 3 plus 12 over 3. So go ahead and simplify each of those. Right, try number 3 and number 4. Try 5 and 6. Now we're going to factor, find the greatest common factor. We'll try 7 and 8. Now we're going to do a common binomial factor. So here we have a polynomial. This is one term and this is another term. What's the greatest common factor? What can I divide each term by evenly? Well, the 2 could come out, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to look here at the binomial. And what is that going to leave us? What's my greatest common factor? X plus 9. And then that leaves me 6x minus 4. Try 10. I'm doing 10. So our greatest common factor is f plus 3 and f plus 3. So I factored out an f plus 3, and that left me 7f minus 2. Right, 11, try that one. Try 12. All right, on 13, we're going to factor each by grouping. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to group this 4-term polynomial into 2 binomials. And then we're going to factor out the greatest common factor for each pair. So 3 and 12, the greatest common factor is 3. Y to the third and y squared is y squared. And the greatest common factor of 2y minus 8 is 2. So now our greatest common factor is y minus 4. I'm going to factor that out. And there you factored that by grouping. Okay, 14, group. Find the greatest common factor for both binomials. And factor out the greatest common factor, the greatest common binomial. Try 15. And 16.